Hello, my name is Peter Parfit. Welcome to the new Brit workshop. My mobile bench is almost complete. The only task left for me to do is to make some holes in the top. But I thought that at this stage I ought to show you how I went about constructing it. I've already made one video which shows you a little bit of detail about the castors, which I got from a company called Coldine here in the UK. And in this video I'm going to introduce you to the construction of the bench. Let me just take you through the features. The top is made from high density or CNC quality MDF, which I got from Tim Met in UK, and I've put some Osmo on that in order to protect it, and that Osmo is on both this side and on the underside. I've got some oak edging here to protect it. I've got extension pieces at both ends, and I've already got holes in these which match up with the concept of the holes that you would find in an MFT3 from Festool. I've got what I call push me, pull you drawers. They can be pulled from either side, and the feature of these is that if you had a project and you wanted to keep all the little bits and pieces for a particular project in one place, then you can put them in one of these and put it together somewhere else in the workshop. In this case I've just happened to throw in some sandpaper in there, but you can see they're quite portable, access from both sides. And I've got a series of drawers here which are on runners. They pull out and they're made of MDF, and the fronts are oak faced MDF. You've already seen I've got some storage space for sustainers on the other side, and of course I've got the brilliant castors on here as well. Now the whole of the outer edge of the bench is 58 millimeters in thickness here, and it has got some wood behind it, so it's solid. And the reason I've done that is so I can use my Zyliss Vise. Now you may not have heard of one of these, but I've had mine for many years. They used to be made in Switzerland. They're now made in China. And with this, you just simply clamp it onto the side of your bench and screw up these clamps here. According to the size of your piece of wood, you then put the other end of the Zyliss here. And you position your piece of wood in the Zyliss and tighten up this at the end here like so, and then you're ready to do whatever operation it is you wish to do. And it might be planing, writing, or whatever. Very simple. If you see one on eBay going second hand, if it's in good order, buy one. Now when you buy a new set of castors like these industrial ones from Coldine, it's always a good idea before you commit yourself to the sizes in your construction project to just check how high the castors are. We woodworkers like to do things to the nearest millimetre after all. So put your four castors together, put a piece of wood on top, and then measure it, and then you'll get the precise height from the base of the caster to its wheel. I've used mainly oak for the construction of the bench. The legs are 50 millimeters square and the rails are 30 by 45 millimeters, and these are joined using 10 millimeter dominoes. The rest of the domino joints elsewhere in the bench are 6 millimeter dominoes. I've put some intermediate frames to hold the drawer runners and also to define the area at the back where the sustainers go. And here you see the final plan and the final front elevation. I've cut every size that's been dimensioned properly, and it's now been cut to length, and I've just started the marking up process. Now the marking up process for the various joints has to be done really carefully, and the reason for that is there's just so many joints in something like this that it's just too easy to get it wrong. So take your time. Make sure you've marked up the various pieces of wood so you know exactly where it should be going, and therefore you'll know exactly what type of joint you're putting in it. Well, I've just done the marking up for just the 10 millimeter size domino cuts, and I've done no other marking up. That means I can safely go for all these marked places and put a 10 millimeter slot there with no problem at all. Now this is the Festool trim stop, and it goes with the domino, and it allows you to very rapidly put little domino joints in the ends of bits of wood. And you don't have to do any measuring, you just carry on using it. But what I've never seen demonstrated, and I'm sure it must be possible, so I'm going to try it, is that you turn this at 90 degrees and use it to put a mortise slot in a rail going this way. And I've marked the center line of where I want the mortise slot, and then I backed off from there by 10 millimeters, because that's the amount from the center of the cutter to this face here. Just lining this up with that line, and I'm now ready to do my cut. So I'm starting the normal way. And there's my mortise slot cut exactly where I want it. And that allows me now to join a piece like this to there. Perfect. And when you're doing repeat cuts, it's best to get yourself comfortably set up and organized. Well, that's 121 domino joints done. And it didn't take so long, using these little helpers and using the right tools made it all very easy. It's always a good idea to have a sort of trial check to make sure everything is going to go together properly before you actually put glue everywhere, and this looks pretty good to me. Now the way this is going to come together is such that I'm going to have to do some of the middle stuff first, and then once that's done, bring the ends in. And I've got to remember I've got my piece of MDF which forms the field here. God, the really nice thing about using Festool equipment is everything comes together so square. Absolutely spot on every time. Now when you're doing a glue up like this one, because you've got domino joints coming in at in different directions, you need to think very carefully which bits you do first. In my case, I did these two bits here, followed by these bits going into there, followed by that end piece going on, and then these other bits like so. And this is all precursor to the main sides coming on from here and from the other end. And so you just got to think carefully which order you put a domino jointed structure together. Right, that's the last of the intermediate frames done, and now all I've got to do is put the ends on. Now having a Festool domino machine has absolutely transformed my woodwork. It's now so easy. It is absolutely brilliant. Now, domino joints always have just a tiny bit of play left in them, so when you're desperate to get it absolutely spot on, you can do so. When I bought these clamps, these beautiful, nice, long Bessie clamps, I made the big mistake, and I don't know why, I only bought 3. I think actually it was only because they only had 3 left in the shop. Well, here's the solution to my lack of big clamps. This is a Bessie strap clamp. So that's it. Got the corner pieces in, and I've taken up all the slack that I can. And then the rest is done by turning this handle here. That is pretty good. So I'm pleased with that. Just here as I tighten up, this little part is being moved down here, and as it goes, it is really tightening up this strap a huge amount. So I'm just going to check for square everywhere, make sure, oh, absolutely spot on. Gosh, look at that, absolutely spot on. Oh dear, then they'd never believe you, would they? If they say, oh yeah, it went together first time, I didn't have any problems at all. They wouldn't believe you, would they? Well, no bench like this would be complete unless it had a little bit of storage area for some sustainers. And so I've got the ability on this side to put a pair here and the same here. And there's a gap in the middle for something else. I don't know what yet, but we'll see. I'm making a separate video about the construction of the drawers, how they're fitted, and the fitting of these rather nice runners that I use quite a lot. Now you're at the side where the drawers are, and I've got these little inserts of MDF which go down inside here, and these help to make the whole thing much more rigid because it stops any torsional movement. And what I'm going to have is obviously the two sets of 3 drawers on your side, but I'm also going to have a through drawer here and here with a very narrow front to it. And that means I can be standing on either side of the bench and I can pull the drawer towards me one way or the other. And that has 2 really good functions. One is I can get at the kit that's in these drawers from either side, but also if I need to get my hand underneath to deal with anything on the underside of the MDF top, I can push the drawer out of the way and get at it. Well, that concludes this video on the construction of the carcass of the mobile bench. I've made a separate video showing the construction of the drawers, and then there's a concluding video that shows you how I finished off the top. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.